Coming up on today's wrestling news, a new bidding war is expected between WWE and AEW.
More developments with WWE versus TNA at TNA Rebellion. Indi Hartwell signs with TNA, and a scary near miss at the pay-per-view as well. I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Sidgwick.
And this is the news.
So, as often is the case now in this year of 2025, potentially a new bidding war is expected between AEW and WWE. This is coming on the back of Thekla from Stardom has left the promotion. It felt like a work. It was kind of a work and a shoot. She got storyline fired by the president after her heel hijinks have terrorized that company for ages. It is, in fact, as Sean Ross Sapp, as ever, coming through with the scoop has revealed. Now, I'm going to make great pains, because I don't like twisting anyone's words or misinterpreting anything. Sean Ross Sapp, in his report, did not specify that AEW and WWE are interested in Thekla, saying rather multiple American promotions have expressed an interest. But come on, this is how it goes.
We're in the content game.
Go on, the content game, and this is how it goes. Even if neither promotion needs a new signing, realistically, they're going to do this while both promotions are open and active until the end of time. This is just how it goes. Sean Ross Sapp elaborates, saying that Thekla has in fact already secured representation to assist with this process. So when he says multiple North American companies, once again, I am editorializing, I am opining, but I just think that it's worth really putting that forward. Now, what's interesting about this is that Thekla conducted an interview with SE Scoops last year in January 2024, saying, or talking around the fact that it would seem that she wants to lean in the direction of AEW. She said last year, January 2024, that WWE? Not so much. She, and I'm paraphrasing here, says, I hate being told what to do. Now, under Paul Levesque, as opposed to Vince McMahon, obviously things are a bit more loose, but not as much as some people would like to believe or as expected. There's still like a very WWE way of doing things. Paul Levesque in the past has referred to this as the playbook, whereas in AEW, which Thekla says that she gravitates towards the expression and the creativity, obviously things are a bit more loose, too loose sometimes, in my opinion. So yeah, check back for future updates, but this bidding war is expected. We don't know where she's going yet, but she certainly left Stardom. What's funny about this is that she has got a sort of promotion-specific gimmick / character arc in which she, going by the Toxic Spider, but she's also known as the Idol Hunter, so she likes to be that sort of anti-kawaii idol hunter. So she works very well, or, a lot of Stardom fans thinks it's too House of Torture pilled in terms of the relentless interference, but, in terms of philosophically, where the character fits in and context, she fits very well in Stardom. How that would sort of play out in AEW or WWE, I'm not sure, but she says that she likes to be creative, so I'm sure she will come up with something.
Yeah, really interested to see what happens here. I don't know a great deal about Thekla, I've got to be perfectly honest, but yeah, the noises
Austrian,
I've heard about
very marketable.
Yeah.
I think you would find a marketable Wilborn.
Yeah, without question, from what the brief glimpses that I've seen.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. Dirty bollock.
But yeah, like you say, it's numerous reasons why this would happen in terms of she's a talent that obviously both companies would want. Yeah. Also, there's an argument to be made that one of the two companies might be like, even if we don't want her, let's ramp up the old bidding war.
You took the words right out of my mouth. She's very marketable. She's very skilled. As I said, like not every Stardom fan is a huge sort of fan of this arc. In fact, there's certain fan accounts I've been combing through on Twitter who are like absolutely, thank God, relieved that this sort of business is done. But yeah, like, look, these two North American majors, well, I should say US majors because CMLL is a major, but yeah, they just will sign wrestlers, sometimes just for the sake of it, just to prevent wrestlers from being signed by the opposition. But that is the latest. Let us know in the comments if you have a preferred destination for Thekla, where you think she fits in best.
I think AEW would be preferable, to be perfectly honest, because like you say,
it's going to go one of two ways. She's either going to AEW or she's going to be NXT champion.
Exactly.
That's how these things have tended to work out over the past few months.
I was going to say, you look at recent signings and, they've not been limited whatsoever, but like everyone has had to go through the conduit of NXT, and I sense that would be the same for Thekla, and they would be like, right, let's break you down to your basic elements and work out what we're doing here. As they've tried to transition Julia from what she was in Japan to what she is now, and obviously you got
a little bit lighter.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit lighter work, in-ring work. Not as good, you could argue.
Indeed. Right, let's turn our attention to TNA Rebellion from this weekend, though, because loads of stories coming off the back of it. Exciting new signings, a really scary spot to tell you about. But first, let's talk about more developments with the whole WWE versus TNA thing that has been going on for quite some time now. And obviously, people have been crossing over and popping up on each company's PLEs, pay-per-views, whatever you want to call it. Well, last night, over the weekend at Rebellion, I never know what day it is anymore, Joe Hendry successfully...
Put that down to jet lag and not a lack of professionalism.
Yes, indeed. Joe Hendry successfully retained the TNA Championship at Rebellion. It was a triple threat match involving Ethan Page from NXT, of course, and Frankie Kazarian. I think that was his Call Your Shot match, by the way. But as he was celebrating, Trick Williams whooped that Trick, came in and whooped that Joe by... kicking him and hitting him with a trick shot and grabbing the TNA title, standing over Hendry to close out the show. Subsequent to this, Shawn Michaels has offered Hendry an appearance on this week's NXT, an open invitation. He obviously popped up on last week's NXT, the fallout from Stand and Deliver, and off the back of Joe Hendry's surprise appearance at WrestleMania to interrupt Trick Williams and Oba Femi, basically to say that he had business with Oba after TNA Rebellion. So Trick Williams is obviously like, well, I still want to get involved in title pictures, whether it be NXT or TNA. I really like the blending of NXT and TNA talent. Obviously, I do think WWE slightly benefits more from this relationship.
You think?
But... anything that gets more Joe Hendry on my telly, who is having just the most insane month, by the way.
Yeah, totally crazy run. He's the epicenter of pro wrestling discourse. He's made his debut at WrestleMania. I mean, Jesus Christ, the theme alone is infinitely better than like anything Death Rebel have ever penned. So he's automatically more over, and he's incredibly charismatic as well, leading me to my take on a potential Joe Hendry Trick Williams match. I think it's a sort of match that, you know, the match graphic... respectfully, you're probably not thinking in-ring match of the year.
No.
There is so much goddamn charisma within that dynamic. That'll be one of the most over matches in any building before the bell even rings. Interesting politically where it goes as well. They interacted on NXT TV last week as well, so it seems all but certain to happen somewhere at some point in that. I think it was Body Slam. Again, I'm just... talking off the top of my dick here, so I apologise if I've got the source wrong, but I'm fairly certain it was BodySlam.net who revealed that Trick Williams and Lola Vice were in consideration for main roster call-ups just last week. So maybe that is the job, the traditional job that one does on NXT.
Not the only NXT star being picked for a main roster call-up. I read about
Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. So yeah, that might be the job that Trick Williams does. It is tradition for the NXT wrestler, the departing, the promotee, if you like to do the honours for someone on NXT, just to keep the ecosystem ticking over. The amount of charisma in that match would be off the charts.
Yeah, with Trick Williams, it's been interesting because obviously we watch NXT week in, week out, and they've done a weird...
Wherever you get your podcasts from, we review it as well.
Indeed. We get this weird sense of, what are you doing with Trick? Why are you like making
Why is he a
him
tweener? Why have you miscast him so disastrously?
And yet, being there over WrestleMania weekend, he was still beloved. You know, Whoop That Trick was still bouncing off the walls at Stand and Deliver. So that
match got loads of praise as well.
Yeah, really
loads
enjoyed
of
it.
praise.
So it's
the best he's looked in a while.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think, like you say, I'm not expecting magic. I think they'll have a great match regardless. But you say I'm not expecting like 5-star classic. But without question, those two would just be. The noise in that place would be absolutely.
They wouldn't have to do
insane.
anything realistically. No. They would not have to do anything.
A move to the main roster could be interesting for Trick. WWE seemingly finally remembered that they've got Carmelo Hayes on their books and they're actually trying to utilise him going forward following the Andre the Giant thing. So you could factor him into that or just bring him up as the star in his own right that he absolutely is. And yeah, Joe Hendry is just having. I genuinely was. I didn't even. It wasn't like cheers. It was just laughter. When his music hit, I was like, I can't believe this isn't a dream. when Randy Orton has called him out, and subsequently reading that like Randy was pitched several people, and he's like, Joe, amazing stuff. But lots of newsworthy stuff coming off the back of TNA Rebellion this weekend. Also, we saw Indi Hartwell has signed with TNA Wrestling. She was released by WWE back in October of 2024. She worked for various indie promotions in the meantime, but she has called the move a dream come true, declaring that she has crossed the line to join the promotion. Love Indi Hartwell. I believe, actually, Simon Miller interviewed her over WrestleMania weekend, so keep an eye out for that interview if it's not dated horribly already when it drops very soon. The biggest interview that we are most excited to share from WrestleMania weekend. MXM collection. The most ridiculous interview. Like, both Phil and Simon were saying, this is the best interview we might have ever done. And
your interview with the Usos was legendary.
Well, that was good, but I think that I was going to say this is less of an interview from what I've.
Okay.
It's just chaos.
I'm looking forward to it.
So I'm very excited. Phil compared it to, if you've seen it, when Simon Miller at least attempted to interview Matt Cardona at the end of a wrestling a few years back. So
out of the way, Mello, I'm just going to do a promo.
Yes, pretty much. Nice. But keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, congratulations to Indi Hartwell. More than deserved. Great to see her back in a big promotion.
Yes, absolutely. Now, long-time viewers, listeners, readers who are familiar with my opinions, thank you for enduring me, first of all. Secondly, you might not think with what I like and what I gravitate towards or what I sort of get out of my pro wrestling that I'd be a fan of Indi Hartwell, who, with all respect in the world, is not troubling match of the year charts realistically. I think she's really, really funny.
Yeah.
I think she's got great comedic timing. I think she's great in skits. I think this is the best move for her.
Yeah.
Yes, there are instances where you go to TNA and you do, for all intents and purposes, vanish off the face of the earth. But, it's a good income for her. It's the best landscape. Put it this way, if I'm picking her destination, like, on her behalf, I'm picking TNA over Ring of Honor, more skit-based, more entertainment-based, I remember she, in the early goings of The Way, which was a NXT stable, if you're not familiar. They were doing some wacky skit in the middle of the ring, like a comedy leaning group, and they asked Indi Hartwell to give them a drum roll. Remember this?
Yes.
She went... It's just great. She's really funny. She's got some comedic timing. Look, as I said, TNA over Ring of Honor is the preferred destination, and to be polite, I'll probably leave it there.
Yeah, exactly. She's a former NXT Women's Champion, former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, of course, and without question, there is a void as well right now in TNA's women's division. Like, they still have amazing talent. Masha Slamovich was just working Rebellion, of course, alongside other names that are probably best not to mention. In terms of like being able to showcase what you've got, TNA I think is the best place for her.
Yeah, absolutely, and she never got that much of a go in the ring.
No.
Maybe she could improve, who the hell knows?
Yeah, we'll wait and see. And finally, I'm just going to conclude by bringing you this story about Leon Slater. By the way, you've probably seen this.
Jesus Christ.
Like me, if you've been on Reddit Squared Circle this morning with the post, Leon Slater is a madman. So Leon Slater was involved in the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship at Rebellion. He was unsuccessful. This might explain why. It was a match featuring the likes of Moose, Matt Cardona, Vikingo, several others. But during the match,
he wasn't booked to win.
He climbed up one of their truss. It's called girder?
Truss girder. Well, basically,
the thing that holds the ropes for the Ultimate X.
To get context, if you've not seen it, it is basically the height of a steel cage.
Yeah. I think over 15 feet, they say on commentary.
Which basically probably means 11, because that's pro wrestling.
Yeah. So he climbs to the top of that and hits a Swanton 450 onto the pile. Everyone's gathered underneath. Oh my God, here he comes. I say onto the pile. Through the arms of the pile, they're trying to catch. You're doing wrong there, kid. You're trying to catch with your arms. You should be trying to catch with your body.
Yeah.
You got more space to hit there. Because he just flies through everyone and just bounces off of not the canvas, just the floor. You see Moose immediately go, "Hey, you alright, mate? You okay?" on the floor. Thankfully, from what I've read, from what I can gather, he seems to be fine, which is great news. He is the first one to stand up, which is reassuring.
I mean, he's
somewhat.
meant to have been like doing an offensive move and celebrating.
But he does just sort of go through everyone and go whoop, off the floor. But I really like Leon Slater. He's such a talent, and hopefully he's all right. And quite rightly, he is a madman, appropriately titled.
One of the proper actual standouts amid what could fairly be described as a depleted modern independent landscape. But he's getting. I mean, this is one of those weird wrestling things, man. Wrestling is such a bizarre industry where if something bad happens, or you're controversial, or you do a terrifying near miss like this, it could work out well for you. It's publicity at the end of the day. Look, this is absolutely terrifying. I watched this and I thought, Jesus, I'm seeing double here. 10 misses. Why? It's the one thing we didn't want to happen. Like, surely your instinct is, even if it makes the spot look bad or look telegraphed beyond belief, just make sure you are directly under this bloke and just
you might have
put your arms out
face,
like that. My God, if you're gonna catch anything, catch that. I mean, it looked like one of those things with wrestling as well. It's not many people have taken a DDT or like taken a chair shot or whatever, so you can't really put yourself in the mind of how specifically that would hurt. I'm gathering everyone has been winded at least once in their life. You can almost feel the agony coursing through that dude's body at the time. A terrifying near miss, and it just goes to show you that, if in fact the early indications are, he's going to be okay, that more often than not, it is the more innocuous looking stuff that is devastating injury wise compared to this thing that will get shared around. You'll have probably seen it on X if you're like me, unlucky enough to be addicted to that hellhole and that swamp or squared circle or wherever. Terrifying near miss. Hope he's great. Everyone at WhatCulture obviously hopes he's going to be fine. But my God, you cannot be not catching someone like that. So, I mean, do you think that everyone individually thought, oh, he's got them?
Yeah, I just think it's a case of them thinking, oh, well, he's only little in terms of he's not can't be that heavy.
He's down.
No, he's not. As in, he can't be that heavy. He's not going to burst through everyone's arms, and then that's exactly what happens.
Only little.
He's young. They bounce at that age. It's fine. But wish him well in his recovery.
Jesus
it is weird.
Christ.
It is weird how, like you say, because he executes the move perfectly. It's not like there's something like, oh God, he's out of position.
Yeah.
He nails it perfectly. It is going to suck for everybody, for him and for everyone underneath him. That's what you signed up for in terms of like you might take an errant elbow or whatever. But it is weird that seemingly, again, hope he's okay, he's fine from basically hitting a Swanton 450 chest first to the floor, and yet poor Adam Cole can jump down from a stage and just destroy his ankle. It's mad how this business works sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
But Leon Slater set for big things without question, and this weirdly viral moment will only benefit him. But hope he's okay. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Here. Anyway, let us know your thoughts on that and everything we've discussed in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and subscribe to the What Culture Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. In the meantime, why not watch this video? I have no idea what it is, but it's right here. Whoa! Bye.